Hello guys. So as you all likely know by this point, Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 is one of my personal favorite racing games of all time, as well as one of my favorite Hot Wheels video games ever, second to beat that. Throughout the many versions of the game that I have bought and played, I experimented with many different builds with a lot of different vehicles, as well as seeing many different loadouts for specific vehicle classes by other people. I've even watched a few tier videos ranking every vehicle in each class from worst to best. But there's one thing that I haven't really seen at all, which is the ranking of every skill you can put on, which is why this video begs the question, what skills are the best to use for your vehicles and which ones should have been either buffed or just cut from the game entirely? That's been something on my mind for a little while now. So that's why I decided to take up the task and rank all 17 skills from worst to best. Now some people may ask, what would even be the point of this video for the purpose of skill information? It's for people who don't know exactly what they entail or are just getting into the game and searching for their best use. Each one has their own pros and cons, and I will be talking about them each. As for the obstacle skills, those are going to be based around your level of experience more so than what the good and bad those have. So you may see one of those that are ranked at an odd place for my list. With all that said, let's get started. Yeah, this is a skill that does more bad than good. I don't know why Milestone had to keep this skill the way it is. What In Pursuit does is that it allows you to gain more speed in a slipstream, but the trade-off is that your boost gain from slipstreaming is slowed down. It doesn't really serve much of a purpose at all other than just being there to choose if you so desire to for any reason. But the question is, why would you want to do that at all? The amount of speed you gain during a slipstream with other cars really isn't that much in general without this on, let alone non-existent. So why pick this to get a little more of a boost to your overall speed when trying to catch up? Unless your vehicle's raw cruising speed is already slow or if it already has a fast boost charging gain by default, then there's really no point in putting this on your vehicle. Not only does this make your boost gain from slipstreaming weaker, but it also takes up a skill slot which can easily be replaced with something much better. Additionally, this skill cancels out the kinetic charger's benefits if you want to utilize that, making it more of a penalizing skill than a beneficial skill. So yeah, pretty much everyone would just skim over this in favor of kinetic charger. This skill honestly shouldn't have been a skill at all. It's self-explanatory. Your car's braking power stat gets an increase, making it more effective at stopping or starting drifts better, but the passive boost gain of your car is weakened. Braking power is pretty much the least valuable of the whole stats because, well, every car can brake just fine for starting drifts, as far as I've seen. So why emphasize on a stat that serves little to no purpose when you can literally pick something else? Now if you're using a car like the Glory Chaser that you see on screen right now, which has weak brakes, at least from what I've been told, or you want to have an easier time starting drifts in general, then this could be something you can pick up. The problem being is that balanced cars are affected by this more than any other car because their passive gain is weak already to begin with. It can be a nice quality of life improvement, but you have to ask yourself, is this worth using up a skill slot over? I wouldn't say so. The only exception is putting this on heavy duty and off-road vehicles where you should go for a handling build with two other skills if you're choosing. Other than that, there's really not much use for this skill. The only reason why I'm putting it above In Pursuit is because it technically has a tad bit more usefulness to it. So there's that. A skill that is a good idea on paper, but with execution that's just more of a hindrance than a benefit, if I'm being honest. This skill makes your vehicle have better passive gain, but it costs your vehicle's speed to use it. Now initially I thought that this was a cool skill to use, but in testing I noticed that the speed penalty is a lot bigger than what it seemed. Compared to using the same vehicle without this equipped, it really doesn't make that much of a difference. This has niche uses, such as using it in turns where it makes its use, especially if the track has a ton of them in its design and layout, usually is the case of tracks made for drifters. Unfortunately, that's really all it can be useful for, so you're better off with Quick Charge in that case. It takes up a skill slot, which again can be used for something else entirely, and the only way it could be a useful skill is if the speed reduction was lowered, and the passive boost benefit was slightly higher. But considering that won't happen anytime soon with no more patches coming for this game, there's really no point to using this skill at all, even if you're putting it on as a filler just to get hyper boost. Again, I'm basing these particular skills on my own experience with the game. Now what Adamantine does is that it makes your vehicle unaffected by the Angry Dragon module, Poison Pools, Conveyor Belts, and the Gator Geyser module. I specifically haven't found that much of a use for this skill because I'm a pretty good learner when it comes to these modules. If you're like me and can easily learn these modules, knowing them like the back of your hand, it's highly unlikely you'll ever find a need for this skill. Now, I can see this being of good help if you have trouble with the mentioned modules and just need to cheese your way through them because you're either too lazy or have trouble learning their pattern without it. So this skill is all up to you on what you think it's worth, but trust me when I say that there are better skills out there you can grab, especially ones that can defend you against more common obstacles. For me personally, it's not really that beneficial because I know a lot about the mentioned modules, so I never bother with it myself. This one looks and sounds like a good addition on paper, but it really doesn't serve that much of a purpose. It can be fun to shove other vehicles off the track easier and gain an advantage, but you use up more boost, which is its trade-off. When going up against players online, you won't really be pushing other drivers off the track because that's just frowned upon and not allowed to do against other people, unless it's like Cool Gonzo. I mean, you can still technically use the lateral dash, but you should only use it to save yourself from falling off course. This skill also increases the movement of your dash, which can be a bit of a benefit to you, but again, ain't worth using the skill slot over. So when it comes down to it, improved dash is more like a fool around kind of skill and having fun using it. I really don't see this being useful in races much at all. I wouldn't even use it in high skill racing, to be honest. The only other good thing I can say about this skill is if you need to dodge obstacles out of the way in time that are too tall for the jump to clear, or you are too far off to one side and need to get to the other quicker. But again, you're better off using the jump, or more importantly, not using this to not only evade obstacles, but also to conserve a bit of boost. So this is more like a situational kind of skill. Lots of people will pass on this one regardless. What was once the best bonus skill, now a mediocre one. Previously, in earlier versions of the game, this skill would increase the vehicle's maximum speed, which was a great benefit. However, in later versions of the game, this was changed, and for the worse. What it does now is that it lightens the weight of your car at the cost of boosting speed. And the only way to get this skill applied is if you put at least 4 handling skills on your car. Now this can be beneficial to heavies, off-roaders, and even swift vehicles, with the more important skills applied. But when it comes to the other 3 vehicle classes, don't go for this. I wouldn't really consider this as one of the best skills at all, just because what it does now doesn't have that much value. It's useful for the 3 mentioned classes, but that's it. For Swifts specifically, avoid putting this on bikes. More on that later. It really has so little use that it's not that great to begin with. Avoid getting this bonus skill for drifters, balanced vehicles, and rockets. Go with the other 7th bonus skill for the median and latter in particular. There's another similar skill that is much better than unrestrained speed anyway, so why emphasize on more weight loss on classes you wouldn't want to have super sharp, uncontrollable drift handling with? This skill is like improved brakes, but it instead focuses on acceleration, which is a more valuable stat. It's not really the best handling skill to use in the game, but it can be useful for the aforementioned vehicles. It does have some use, but if you're running upgraded boost with this, you're just lowering the passive gain for no reason while simultaneously negating upgraded boost's acceleration nerf. Now Lightning Dash can be handy if you want to get up to speed quicker, but once you are up to speed, the only downside you'll face is, again, you're weakening your boost's passive gain, so you'll have to think if this skill is really worth using at all. It's useful for heavies and rally cars because they have weak acceleration to start with, meaning that it can be hard to get up and on the go without this. For other classes, you can replace this with something else. On a side note, when it comes to the balanced class, it's strongly advised you not run this and improved brakes on them because their passive boost gain becomes as slow as a snail. Maybe only just put on one of them, but I'd rather you choose Lightning Dash over improved brakes, just because its passive penalty is actually much less in comparison. Quads, ATVs, and bikes don't necessarily need this because they have quick boost acceleration to begin with. The reason why I rank this much higher than Adamantine is because lots of people use it for the usual drifter build along with Unstoppable because drifter vehicles are only built for incredibly tight turns and don't have a lot of speed to them. As for what Curiaceous Armor does, it protects you from ghosts, holographic barriers, ice pools, and the bat attack module. Of all four of those obstacles, the holographic barriers and bat attack appear more often, barring any custom tracks, so you're gonna blow through those if you can't get around them without this. But once again, for the record, ranking these obstacle skills is going to be based on my own driving experience with this game, so you may see these as more or less valuable than I do. Being that you can dash or jump over the holographic barriers and boost through the bat attack's wind to keep your speed, if you're somehow having a difficult time with those, this can be a band-aid for you. But if you're like me and can get over them just fine, or at least the majority of the time, then you can pass on this one and replace it with something else. Another skill that doesn't seem all that worth it, but in reality saves you some boost consumption in the long run. Controlled dash is basically the opposite of improved dash if you couldn't already tell. It lessens the boost requirement for using the lateral dash, with the power of the dash being weaker. As was mentioned before, dashing into people during online races is frowned upon. But if you have this equipped with lightweight, your dash becomes so weak that you won't have to worry about dashing people off the track, intentionally or not. Really, the only reason why you'd want to put this on is as just a filler, just to get hyper boost. It's not particularly useful for anything else, but conserving boost is the key element with this skill. Why use up more boost just to dash with a single press of a button when you can just lower that amount with this skill in particular? Controlled dash's benefit isn't really that bad, and you need the boost in order to win, so this skill in particular helps with that greatly. Once again, dashing should only be used to save yourself from falling off the track or going too far off course in off-road sections. It is a somewhat useful skill that will save you some of the boost amount needed to catch up at least, and you're not going to be dashing into people at all with this on. Again, your dash power might be weak, even more so with lightweight on, but you're just putting it on to conserve boost when dashing, and just as a filler skill for hyper boost. Nothing else. Maximum grip allows you to turn tighter in your drifts, but your boost gain from drifting is lowered. Not ideal for drifters, kinda beneficial for rockets and balanced, can be good for Swifts, best for off-roaders and heavies. You know, the last two vehicles have poor handling ratings by default, so this, along with lightweight, will be a great deal of help to you when driving those specific vehicles. On tracks that have tons of tight turns or are specifically meant for drifters, using this can help a bit with making those pesky curves, which can help you stand up against drifters and make your car more functional and effective. Granted, you get less boost from drifting with this on, but if you can keep up with the competition, that won't be as big a deal as it would seem. Especially if you're using a heavy like a van or a monster truck, or an off-road vehicle with 2 handling points by default, being able to sharply drift around the corner with a ton of boost to use on exit is a good way to keep up the heat. On the other hand, if you're using a Drift Master build for, let's say, a rocket, this can also be a good way to make rockets a hybrid of being part drifter as well. Same with balance too. One thing to note for this particular skill is that putting this on makes your vehicle's drift handling more difficult for some classes, so it feels like this skill is a bit bugged because it shouldn't make your drift handling more difficult to control at all. Equipping this skill will make your handling a bit tougher while drifting, but you'll get more boost out of it for its benefit. But did you know that you can mitigate the handling penalty by putting on the lightweight skill as well? You'll be able to gain more drift charge without having to sacrifice your handling with this combo, and people do consider this combo to be overpowered for pretty much any car. Who wouldn't want to get more drift charge by putting this on their car with another skill that can get rid of the handling nerf? But there is an alternate, yet slightly less viable combo you could go with. You can use both maximum grip and quick charge simultaneously, also known as the hybrid drift setup by a few members of the community. Now you're probably thinking, don't both of these skills cancel each other out completely? Well, not really 100%. You see, the thing is that maximum grip's trade-off doesn't fully get rid of the benefits quick charge gives, so by putting both mentioned skills on, you'll get a tiny bit more boost out of drifting than normal. You can run one of these setups, but it all depends on the car you're using. Generally speaking, using the first combo is better because, hey, you need more boost out of drifting, so this is especially useful for drifter vehicles. Heck, even balanced in maybe rocket cars. You will see this on other people's builds because it is a good combo to utilize, and it's mandatory to put on for the best build for racing in the game. As for rockets, probably best to go for the hybrid drift combo for more control due to the understeering nature of rocket car drifting. When it comes to general builds, pretty much everyone will slap this on for one reason. You will encounter barriers the most out of any other track module in the entire game. So it's always a good idea to put Unstoppable on because it saves you a lot of boost in the long run. This skill will also make your car immune to the effects of the spider web and keeps you from getting caught and stuck inside tornadoes. You can just blow through barriers without any traces of slowing down in the slightest, and while you will stop when making contact with a web, you will just get out of it no problem, like how a monster truck can get out of it. Tornadoes are perhaps the least of the three that you need to worry about, because you won't find them as often, at least on staff-created tracks. Customs will vary. Monster trucks in particular already have these benefits by default, so this is useless on them. And this skill provides the benefits of the monster trucks, so this can be an extremely helpful skill to apply to your build. Everyone likes this one out of the 3 obstacle skills because it's for people who just want to conserve boost from jumping and dashing or are too lazy to do such things while racing. I strongly recommend it. Alright, so this technically is more of a preference kind of skill to put on, and you're not wrong. It's all down to which boost type you prefer for your vehicle of choice. But let's be real about this. Charged boost is better than free boost. Some cars at their final upgrade level will have free boost, and with me wanting to race these vehicles, I put this on if the vehicle has such boost by default. Because the differences between both boost types is how they work. Charged boost requires at least a single segment to be filled, while free boost can be used at any time. But free boost takes a small chunk away when using boost due to the boost tax that it requires, whereas charge boost doesn't have boost tax. Charge boost only requires a single button press, while free boost requires you to hold the button down. Granted, you can also hold the button for charge boost if you're going to blow all your segments in one go on a long straight. So in general, boosting power and speed remain untouched. It's just how both boost types behave. Charged is better, but only stops when a segment is fully depleted, while free boost is more controllable, which allows you to start and stop boosting anytime. The only reason why you'd want to run free boost is for Drift Master events for reasons explained, because having more control over your boost is a key element for that mode in particular. If you're like me and just do quick races the majority of the time, then this is a must-have for all cars that start with free boost by default. Swap out Control Dash for this on such cars. But then again, this skill is all up to your personal preference. I just love putting it on to get the better boost type. Why am I putting this as the 4th best skill overall? There's one reason and one reason only. Let me ask you this, you don't know how strong the benefit of this skill is, do you? Pretty much the 100% complete dead opposite of In Pursuit if you couldn't already tell. I know for a fact that people take Kinetic Charger over In Pursuit, clearly. So what it does is that it increases the boost gain you get from slipstreaming behind other cars, but it reduces the vehicle's speed gain. And since the speed gain from slipstreaming is already pretty darn weak as it is, the downside to the skill isn't really that big a deal. But the benefit to this skill is super helpful for farming boost off of someone really quickly, because the benefit really is that strong. If you can do some wiggling while staying behind someone for long periods, you can go from having little or no boost to lots or even full boost in a short span of time. Even more effective with quick charge on. I will admit that this skill is only useful if you're behind other vehicles, which means that you're not going to be utilizing it very much if you're leading the race and only using it to keep up with the pack online. However, this can be very useful for catching up to and passing other racers in a more easier fashion. Just get behind someone and start farming boost off them until you have the appropriate amount needed to take back the lead or finish with a high enough position that you can easily stomach. The better of the two bonus skills that you can put on. As you put on 4 boost skills, you'll get this as well. It reduces your vehicle's cruising speed, but increases the speed gain from boosting. Now, speed is an important stat to have, so you may be wondering why this skill is considered to be the second best in my eyes. I mean, you could see this as a slightly better version of recharging dynamo, but this is so much better for racing. You want to go fast when boosting, so this skill ups your speed gain when boosting, whether it be your car's own boost or from boost pads on the track. Very good benefit for pretty much any vehicle class, except likely quads, ATVs, and heavies, because those things need handling skills more than boost skills. If you're driving on a track with lots of boost pads, then this will definitely help with that because you're going to be boosting for the majority of the race. Granted, it still lowers your cruising speed, but is it worth putting on when the speed is lowered? Well, yes, because the thing that makes it so much better than recharging dynamo is that the speed penalty isn't as big. It's too little to even be considered a bad thing. By having this on, you'll still be a fast cruiser, but with the boosting speed to back it up. It's a great bonus skill to use, and definitely the one that people will want on their builds. So great. When it all comes down to it, upgraded boost is a very important skill to use in this game. It is a super beneficial skill to have for racing, as it makes your vehicle's boost more powerful at the cost of acceleration. When you think about it, having stronger boost allows you to get up to speed quicker, which completely nullifies the acceleration fault that it brings. You won't even notice it. This is especially the case with quads, ATVs, and bikes. You'll get a better startup with this on, and it's a very good all-around super good skill. The skill that will give you an advantage early on. With the aforementioned vehicles, this is like an instant speed boost, near instantaneous even. But for other cars, it's not as powerful, but even so, you should still equip this on almost all cars. It's such a great skill that you cannot ignore it at all. You just get up and on the go so much more quickly. You could use Lightning Dash to nullify the acceleration loss, but you should only do this for off-roaders. It's just that good aside from that fault. I cannot emphasize on that enough. Everybody uses this skill a ton, and you'll definitely see why when you actually put this on your cars. Combining this with Hyper Boost really makes Boost the best tool at your disposal. Going back to what I said about almost all cars, putting this on monster trucks causes their boosting power to be weaker due to some strange coding conflicts. So for those, you'll want to put on something that isn't this. Now, we've gone through 16 of the 17 skills that you can put on. If you've been following along, you'll know what the best skill in the game is. If you don't, here it is. The absolute best skill you could put on is lightweight, because what it is that it's unrestrained speed, but the difference is that it weakens the power of your lateral dash instead of lessening your boosting speed, which makes this much better by default. It complements maximum grip, which allows your car to turn even tighter in drifts, even performing snap turns. You'll also see this on lots of people's builds because it does provide the most use out of any other skill in this game. The dashing power you'll have is weakened, but you're not putting this on to push other people off. No, you want to turn tighter and be more effective in turns as well, so this is indeed better overall. You don't get less boost from drifting using this too, so that's another big benefit to have. The difference isn't as clear as maximum grip by itself, but it's still worth it. Put this on your vehicle. It's recommended. It's the best handling skill in the game by far. Using this on your builds is extremely important. It's actually beneficial with drifters when you have quick charge on as well to make them lighter and get more boost gain out of their drifting in general, which can make them a little more valuable and better for racing, giving them a little bit more of an edge overall. This is also the handling skill to use for the best boost build, so it's a very important one to use. Just avoid putting this on bikes. You'll be flying like a piece of paper if you get kicked up into the air with this on. This effect is only worsened with unrestrained speed on as well. And that, my friends, is every single skill in Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 ranked from worst to best. I will say that the ones in the best and worst parts were pretty simple to do. The ones in the middle were a little tricky for me. But you know, my list might be different than yours, so let me know which of your favorite and least favorite skills are, or if you agree with me or not with what I have in the comments below. I will admit that this video was fun to make and edit together. I had a great time making this, so please give me some feedback. Any of it is appreciated and welcome. Heck, maybe share your own builds that you like using for specific vehicles if you really want to go the distance. And with that, I shall see you guys next time. Later.